Good morning students. In this video lecture we will discuss about suspending, resuming and stopping the threads, then obtaining a thread state, then using multi-threading and finally daemon threads. We will see one by one. First one, suspending, resuming and stopping the threads. Sometimes suspending the execution of a thread is useful. For example, a separate thread can be used to display the time of day. If the user doesn't want a clock that means the time, then that thread can be suspended. So that means sometimes there is a necessity of suspending the particular thread or particular threads. So for that purpose it is necessary to suspend the threads. Whatever the case, suspending a thread is simple matter by using method. Once the thread is suspended, restarting the thread is also a simple matter. So suspending the thread is nothing but temporarily a thread is come out from the execution. So that means the running thread come out from the execution some amount of time. That activity is referred as the suspending. So the mechanisms to suspend, stop and resume the threads differ between early versions of Java such as Java 1.0 and modern versions, that means Java 2. Prior to Java 2, a program used suspend, resume and stop, which are methods defined by the predefined thread class to pass the thread execution, to restart the execution and stop the execution of the thread permanently. So that means suspend is used to pass the currently executing thread. So temporarily some amount of or some duration of time the running thread is passed. That activity is referred as the suspend. So for that the thread class has the method called suspend. The suspended method, the suspended thread may be resumed, may be restarted by the execution of the method called resume. That means the suspended thread may be revoked for execution by using the method called resume. And then stop. This is the method is used to make the thread or to stop the thread permanently. So that means simply to make the thread to enter into dead state we use the method called stop. So that means permanently stopping the thread execution we have the method stop. So that those are the three methods used for suspending the thread and resuming the thread and stopping the thread or threads. Although these methods seem to be a perfectly reasonable and convenient approach for managing the execution of a threads, they must not be used for new versions of Java. Here is why the suspend method of the thread class was deprecated by the later versions of Java. This was done because suspend can sometimes cause serious system failures. Assume that a thread has obtained locks and critical data structures. If that thread is suspended at some point, those locks are not released. That means other threads that may be waiting for those resources or those locks can be deadlocked. That means those threads needs to wait for that resource or that lock indefinite amount of time. That situation is referred as the deadlock. So simply the suspend method, execution of suspend method may leads to the situation called deadlock. So that's why this is the method deprecated in later versions of Java. So like that the resume method is also deprecated because it does not cause problems but cannot be used without the suspend method. That means the suspended thread is revoked or resumed by using the method called resume. That is the purpose of resume. So without suspend, there is no necessity of resume. So suspend causes or leads to some problems. That's why that method was deprecated. So in same manner, resume method is also deprecated. And then finally, the stop method. The stop method of the thread class is also deprecated by Java 2. This was done because this method can sometimes cause serious system failures. Assume that a thread is waiting to a critically important data structure and has completed only part of its changes. If that thread is stopped at that point, that data structure might be left in a corrupted state. So that means the running thread is in between stopped. At that time, some data structure was updated incompletely. So that's why the trouble is that the stop causes any lock the calling thread holds to be released. Thus the corrupted data might be used by another thread that is waiting on the same lock. So that's why stop method is also deprecated. So because you can't now use the suspend, resume or stop methods to control a thread, you might be thinking that no way exists to pause, restart or terminate a thread. So for that we have another ways in later versions. So that means in later versions of Java, these three methods are deprecated. So for doing these activities, mainly for pausing the execution of a thread, for revoking the thread execution and stopping the thread execution permanently. So for that we have some other ways. So those ways, those techniques generally we can achieve with the help of run method and also with the help of wait and notify methods. By using these methods we can see similar type of activities, that means passing the thread, restarting the thread and terminating the thread permanently. So that is about suspending, resuming and stopping of threads. That is about suspending, resuming and stopping of threads. So now we move to next concept, that is obtaining a thread state. Throughout the life cycle of the thread is in different states. Those are referred as life cycle of a thread. Mainly in its life, the thread is mainly in 5 states. Already we have discussed in previous video lecture. So those are new state, ready or runnable state, then running state, next one blocked or waiting state, and then finally dead state. So these are the 5 states of any thread: new or born state, ready or runnable state, running state, blocked or waiting state, and finally dead state. Suppose at a particular point of time, if you want to know the state of a particular thread, so that activity is referred as the obtaining a thread's state. So to get the state of a particular thread, the thread class provides the method called getState. This getState method returns the particular state of a thread. So that means the thread may be mainly in 5 states. At a particular point of time, a thread may be in any one of those 5 states. If we want to know at a particular point of time what is the thread state, we need to execute getState method on that particular thread. So this returns one state. So that state may be 5 types. So this state generally referred as enumeration data type. So that contains a list of named constants. So these are the states returned by the get state method, blocked, new, runnable, terminated, timed waiting, and then waiting. So these are the states returned by the get state method for a particular thread. So this is the diagram that shows the various thread states. So mainly earlier we discussed about these thread states: new, ready, running, blocked, and then terminated states. If you want to know the state of a particular thread at a particular point of time, we need to execute the method called get state that returns the current state of the thread. Those states may be these: blocked, new, runnable, terminated, timed waiting, or waiting. Now we'll move to next concept, that is using multi-threading. Using multi-threading has several benefits. So already we discussed the benefits of multi-threading in previous video lecture. So using the multi-threading improves the performance of the system or performance of the application. That means the application runs it very fast, that gives the results it very fast. So that is the meaning of improving the performance. So like that, resource sharing, we achieve resource sharing if we use the multi-threading, because all the threads shares the same resources, same address space. Then we get the response fastly compared to non-multi-threaded program. Next one, utilization of multiprocessor architecture. So by using multi-threading, we can execute the multi-threaded programs on multiprocessor systems effectively or efficiently. So that means utilization of multiprocessor architecture. And finally, with this multi-threading, we can achieve better economy. So that is about using the multi-threading. Using the multi-threading, these are the benefits we have. Now we'll move to another concept, that is about daemon threads. Daemon thread in Java is a service thread that provides some services to the user threads. So simply, daemon thread is a low priority thread that runs in the background to perform some background activities like garbage collection and finalization activities, etc. So daemon thread in Java is a service provider. That thread runs for providing the services to the user threads, and it runs in the background. It has no role in its life than to serve the user threads. That means daemon thread is not having any specific role, but it provides services to the user threads. Its life depends on user threads. So that means after completion of user threads activities, the JVM simply terminates the daemon threads, and it is low priority thread. So that is simply about daemon threads. Simply those are service providers run in the background for providing the services to the user threads. And also these are the low priority threads because these are run in the background. The daemon threads are do the activities like garbage collection and finalization activities, etc. So that is about daemon threads. Methods for Java daemon thread by thread class. So to make the particular thread as a daemon thread, the thread class has the method called setDaemon. Suppose we want to make the particular thread as a daemon thread, we need to execute setDaemon method on that particular thread object by making the status as true. So that means suppose I have one thread T1. I want to make T1 as daemon thread. I need to execute the method as T1 dot set daemon of true. So we need to use the boolean value as true for set daemon method to make T1 as daemon thread. So simply set daemon method is used to mark the or is used to make the current thread as daemon thread. So for that we need to take this value as true. If we take false, again that is user thread, that is not daemon thread. So to make the particular thread as a daemon thread, we need to use set daemon and the parameter we need to take as true. Then the second method is daemon. This returns boolean type of value either true or false. This method is used to check whether the given thread is daemon thread or not. Suppose I have one thread T1. I want to check T1 is daemon thread or not. I need to execute that as T1 dot is daemon. If T1 is daemon thread, then that returns true. That indicates T1 is the daemon thread. If T1 dot is daemon returns false, that indicates T1 is not daemon thread. So simply is daemon method returns either true or false value. If that method returns true, the particular thread is daemon thread, otherwise the particular thread is not daemon thread, that means user thread. So that is about two methods related to daemon thread. One is set daemon for making the thread as daemon thread, another one is daemon for checking the given thread is daemon thread or not. So that is about multi-threading. So with this, multi-threading concept is over. So in these two video lectures we covered the Java thread model, the main thread, how to create the threads using isAlive and join methods, thread priorities, synchronization, inter-thread communication, suspending, resuming and stopping of the threads, obtaining a thread state using the multi-threading, and finally about the daemon threads. That is about multi-threading